What's up, Yarny Box Crocheters? Today I have a super cute tutorial for you. It is Tino the Turtle. If you don't already have your Yarny Box kit, you can head to yarnybox.com and pick up your Tino kit today. Don't forget to sign up for our email list where you'll get a free pattern sent to your inbox every 2 weeks. In your Yarny Box kit, you'll find that the first round is already done for you. This is called a magic ring, and it's just so that we can get the complicated beginning out of the way and we can start nice and easy. This piece is called the tail, and we are not going to be using it, so you can set it aside. The other string of yarn that you see is connected to the working ball of yarn, and that is the yarn that we're going to be working with throughout the project. You can pull on the loop that has the green stitch marker, and you'll see that you can tighten and loosen it like this. This is the hole where you're going to be inserting your hook to make the first stitch. The blue stitch marker is where we're going to be inserting our hook to make the first stitch. So you'll see there's a little hole if you pull on the stitch marker. That is the first stitch of the round. And you can count around the circle. There should be 6 little stitches, or they also look like horizontal V's. Here I'm showing you with my hook what each one looks like. To hold your hook, you can either hold it like this, which is like a knife, or you can hold it like this, which is like a pencil. I personally prefer to hold my hook like a pencil. I find it easier to control the yarn, but pick whichever one works for you. There is no right way to hold a crochet hook, so play with it and see which one works best for you. Now we can insert our hook into the working loop, and that is the loop with the green stitch marker. And remember, we can tighten it with the working piece of yarn like this. You're going to want this pretty tight, but not too tight where you can't move the hook around. So it should look something like that, and then you can go ahead and remove the green stitch marker. I like to hold the magic ring with my thumb and middle finger, and then I like to take the working piece of yarn and wrap it a couple times around my index finger. So the blue stitch marker is where we're going to insert our hook to make the very first stitch. If you pull on it a bit, you'll see where the little hole is. That's exactly where your hook is going to go. So take out the blue stitch marker and then get the yarn ready. Again, I like to wrap mine a couple times around my index finger, but you can play with how you want to hold the yarn. And just make sure that little tail is out of the way for now. And now we're going to insert our hook where the blue stitch marker was. So you'll see it looks like a V. And you're going to pop in your hook, and now you should have 2 new loops on your hook. So there's a total of 3 loops on your hook now. We are going to yarn over, which means you're going to grab the yarn with your hook like this, and we're going to pull it through. But before you do that, make sure your hook is pointing downwards. This is really important. If your hook isn't facing downwards, it's going to be really hard to pull the yarn through. And also make sure you're holding your hook parallel to your body. And then pull the yarn through the first 2 loops of the hook only, so now you still have 2 loops on your hook. Grab the yarn again with your hook and pull through those last 2 remaining loops. This is the very first stitch that we've created. And now we're going to go in the exact same hole that we just were. So exactly where the blue stitch marker was. Pop in your hook, and we're going to do the same thing all over again. So yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and then yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 loops on your hook. So we've made 2 stitches so far. So you should see 2 new V's in your magic ring. You can go around the circle if you want. There should be 8 now in total. So now we're going to mark the very first stitch that we made. So that is going to be the second loop away from the hook. So right in there, pop in your stitch marker. That marks the very first stitch of the round. And now you can reinsert your hook. And we're going to do the same thing over again, but in the next stitch. So we're not working in the same stitch anymore. We are going into the next available stitch. Insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over again and pull through 2 loops. So these 2 steps is what makes 1 single crochet. So we're doing this again to make a second one in the exact same hole. Go in the same hole that we were just in. Insert your hook and yarn over. Pull through 2 loops. Yarn over again and pull through the last 2 loops. So now we have 4 new stitches. So what we've done is we've placed 2 single crochets in 2 stitches. So we're doing this again. Insert your hook, yarn over and pull through 2. And then yarn over again and pull through 2. In the exact same hole, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So again, that was 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And what this is called increasing. We are doubling our stitch count. So we went from 6 stitches and we are going to go to 12 stitches. So again, in the next stitch available, we are going to make a single crochet like so. And then we are going to make our second single crochet in that stitch. Again, in the next available stitch, we are inserting our hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and again in the same hole, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And now we are on our very last stitch of the round, so we are going to make another 2 single crochets in this one. So that's 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet here. So now that we've completed round 1, you should be able to go around your circle and count 12 little V's or 12 stitches. So for round 3, we are going to be increasing every second stitch, going from 12 stitches to 18 stitches. So go ahead and remove your stitch marker and place your first single crochet where your stitch marker was. So insert your hook, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And then yarn over again and pull through 2 loops. Now we're going to pause here and we are going to mark this stitch. This is the very first stitch of the round. So we're going to mark it. And then we are going to leave that stitch, and in the next stitch we are going to be doing an increase. So in this next stitch, not that one, but this one, we are going to be placing 2 single crochets. So that's 1 single crochet, and now we're going in for the second single crochet. And then in the next stitch, we are going to place 1 single crochet and then an increase in the next one. So this one is just 1. And then in the next stitch, we are placing 2. And again in that same hole for our second single crochet. And then in this one, just 1 single crochet. And then in the next one, 2 single crochets. One single crochet and 2 single crochets. So just keep repeating this pattern all the way around until you get back to the stitch marker. We're alternating between placing 1 single crochet in a stitch and 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Coming up on the last stitch here, we are making our increase. So that's 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. And now we are done this round and we will move on to the next round. So we now have 18 little V's or 18 stitches in this round. By the way, this is the head of the turtle in case you're wondering. So in the next round, we're going to place our first single crochet, and then we are going to pause and mark that stitch. And now for this round, we are not doing any more increasing, which means we are no longer placing 2 single crochets in any of the stitches. We will just be placing 1 single crochet in each stitch around the circle, which will give us 18 stitches at the end of this round. So go ahead, go around the circle, place 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I will meet you back when we are back at the stitch marker. Coming up on the last stitch of the round here. So for the next 3 rounds, we are going to be doing the exact same thing that we just did. So go ahead and remove your stitch marker, and then place a single crochet in that stitch, and then you can mark that stitch. And now we're going to be doing 1 single crochet in each stitch around for another round of 18 single crochets in total. So again, I will meet you back once we are back at the stitch marker. Moving on to round 6, we are again doing the exact same thing, so remove your stitch marker and mark your first stitch of the round. And then we are just doing a single crochet all the way around the circle. We're back at the stitch marker once again, so you can remove your stitch marker and then place your first single crochet of the round and mark that stitch. And this is going to be our last round of the 18 single crochets around the circle. So I will meet you back once we are back at the stitch marker. So we're coming up on the last couple stitches here. So now that we have the bulk of the head done, you can see it's sort of looking like a head. We are going to weave in our tail. So that's the piece that we weren't using the whole time. So go ahead and grab your yarn needle that's in your Yarny Box kit. And we are going to thread this piece of yarn onto the needle. It's easier if you fold the piece of yarn in half and kind of wiggle it onto the needle. And then you can flip the head inside out and tug really tight on that tail to close the inner hole. And then we are going to weave the end in and out. And basically all you're doing is threading it back and forth through random holes in the head. It doesn't matter what holes you go into. Just go back and forth 1 stitch apart at a time. And that is going to make sure that that hole in the middle doesn't come undone. If you want to trim your yarn tail a little bit, you certainly can. It just might make stuffing a little bit easier later on. And then flip the headpiece inside out again. And the hole is nice and secure. It shouldn't come undone now. So for the next round, we are going to be decreasing, which is the opposite of increasing. So place your first single crochet of the round like usual. And we are going to mark that stitch. And then in the next 2 stitches, we will actually be combining them together, which is a decrease. So you can see here that each stitch has 2 loops. This is the back loop and this is the front loop. I'm showing you the front loop with my hook here. You can see my hook is in the front loop and the back loop remains untouched. So for the next 2 stitches, we are going to be going in the front loop only. So insert your hook into the working loop here and pop your hook in the front loop only of the next stitch, like so. And then we are going immediately into the next stitch. Pop your hook into that front loop as well. See, the back loops are untouched. We are going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. And then yarn over again and pull through the 2 loops on your hook. And what that did was a decrease, and we combined 2 stitches into 1 stitch. So for this round, we are going from 18 stitches down to 12. So place a single crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to do another decrease. So again, front loop only of the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And yarn over again, pull through 2. Then place a single crochet and then a decrease. So front loop only of the next 2 stitches. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And single crochet, and then decrease. Single crochet, decrease. And then a single crochet, and a decrease. This is the last stitch of the round. So you can see the head is starting to curve inwards a little bit. And there are now 12 stitches in the round. We are going to be adding the safety eyes to our turtle, so go ahead and get your safety eyes from your Yarny Box kit. And we are going to place them exactly parallel to the stitch marker. So pick a hole that you like your eye to be in. I like to go about rounds 3 to 4 in from the inner circle. And then just make sure the other eye is symmetrical and on the same row that your first eye is on. You can play with the placement, just make sure it's done how you like it. And then to secure these on, you take the backs of the eyes and just pop them on. And again, just make sure you're happy with the placement before you pop these backs on. So we are just going to do a couple stitches of the next round, and then we're going to stuff the head. So this round is a decrease for every single stitch, so go in the front loop only of the next 2 stitches and make a decrease. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then pause and mark this stitch. And again, place another decrease in the next 2 stitches. And now we're going to stop here and start stuffing the head. It's just a little bit easier to make the hole as small as possible before stuffing the head, or else it's hard to crochet around the stuffing. So get your stuffing out, fluff it up, make sure it's nice and fluffy. and poke it into the head. Make sure you are shaping the head as you're stuffing. Your head's only going to look as round as your stuffing is placed, so just be aware of that. And once your head is stuffed the way you like, go ahead and make your final decreases of the round. Just keep decreasing until you get back to the stitch marker. You should have 6 stitches at the end of the round. We're on our last decrease here, so you can remove your stitch marker. And it was important to place a safety eye parallel to where your stitch marker was, because in the next round we're going to be folding the turtle's head in half. But if it's not parallel like this, then just add or take away a couple of stitches to make sure that you end the stitch where the eye is. So when you fold the turtle's head in half like this, we are going to single crochet across the hole to close it. So 1, 2, 3. That's why it's important to make sure that the eyes match up with where you fold it. But if it doesn't, just place a few stitches to make sure that it's all even. So insert your hook going through both sides of the head here. So you're pulling through 2 stitches. And make your single crochet, and then again going through both stitches like this. All the way across, place a single crochet, and then again in the last stitch here. And if you finish this part and you see that the eyes don't line up with where the head is put in half, just take out your stitches and try again, and just make sure everything looks nice and even. And that's it for the head. So we can cut our yarn now, leave a tail about 6 inches long. And all you're going to do is pull the yarn through that loop to fasten it off. And in part 2, I'm going to show you how to make the shell. I will see you there.